I'm not going to take up any more of your time. Welcome up David Flynn.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Well, I'm going to have to project my voice, so if anyone can't hear, just let me know here early on, because some of this stuff might get intense, and if you miss one point, you may be lost, and that would be awful. So, but first, starting with the classical education that anybody who got a classical education would know, Plato, the earliest philosophers seem to have their act together. And one of the things that I think is one of the most salient to what I'm going to talk about is geometry. And Plato said that geometry, rightly treated, is the knowledge of the eternal. Now, just cursory look at that, it's like, well, yeah, he really was into geometry. He was really into doing math. That wasn't the thing, though, because he looked at it as a religion. He's talking about the eternal. And eternity, the attribute of actually possessing eternalness, is something that's ascribed to the main deity. Geometry, of course, isn't just measuring circles and squares and determining angles. It's actually measuring the earth, geometry. It's actually incorporating both the name for earth and measurement. So how can measuring the earth somehow give us an idea of God? And in addition, eternity connects to time. So how can time be connected to the earth? Well, maybe we in modern civilization haven't really connected with this understanding. Maybe it's antiquated thinking on Plato's part, but I assure you there are people who are around right now who have taken this quite literally and incorporated it into their religion. It's a religion of geometry. It's a religion that's connected to this idea of eternity. I'm sure everybody has seen this before. This is a compass and square, and it's not a secret, even though it's a symbol of a secret society. And I don't want to step on anyone's toes inadvertently. I'm not going to demonize Freemasons, but I am going to talk about something that I think the highest echelon of the elite understands. And this is the key. The compass and square are things that you use to measure course angles and build things with, but they're also very connected to the idea of maps and measuring distance on a map. And you can actually pick up quite a bit of information from the Freemason sites on the internet or other grimoires or books that are out, because they give us the information that we need to understand pretty much what they understand in the earliest levels that they move into. They see the symbols, and they incorporate this into each of the initiate degrees, and they measure themselves of learned attainment on the degree that they move into. And it's interesting because the name compass in Latin is cum passus, which means by degree, by step, by increments. And so it doesn't have to necessarily connect to this idea of a magnetic compass. It doesn't have to be connected to this idea of this compass and square necessarily. It's just anything with degrees in it. So we're talking about primarily circles, but anything that measures circles and also the system that actually measures them. And this is where the complexity comes in. Why did they just end at 33? You have a representation of all the orders that you can possibly come up with when it comes to the illuminated fraternities. You have Order of the Knights Templar, Knights of Malta, Rosicrucians, and the earlier Freemasons, the Scottish Rite. They list most of them right along this line here, but they end at 33, as high as they go. Everybody's had geometry in school. There's 360 degrees in a circle. What's up with 33? I just think that's going to be surprising to you when you see what's happening with it. Here we have Christ himself as the creator of the universe, but he's using the compass, and he's actually creating a circle with it. Here it's in the point. That's how you use it, and you describe a circle with it. So he's actually creating something that has degrees too that you measure, and that's also a compass. So the actual instrument and the symbol that is actually drawn with it can be considered compasses. Here's something I think that can tie the mystery into what a compass and 33 have going for it. What's going on with the whole system. This is called a compass rose. It's been used for hundreds of years by navigators on the ocean, and it incorporates 32 lines. And every one of these words here, for the novice navigator, would have to learn these directions. They're all different, and you can see this is in a different language than English. But basically, it'd be north, north by north, northeast, north, northeast. And you'll go all the way through 32 times, and then end up at this point, which is 0 and 33. They found that 33 was the most important number in a system of measuring the Earth and traveling on the Earth. In the center of it, they actually incorporate a rose, too. And this cross is pointing to the east, which represents Jerusalem. There's a connection going on there, too. This is known by navigators as boxing the compass. They would memorize all these names, 33 of them, from 0 to 32. And 32, of course, would be 0 at the same time. So you have the sublime 33 degrees. Or if you were going to talk about a perfect third, you have 33.33333 degrees. So they seem obsessed with 33. This is an early map from about the 1600s. You can see these compass roses here. They all have 33 lines radiating outward from various places. So what you could do, if you knew what your latitude was, which is pretty easy to do, you just keep a heading on one of these lines, and you'll eventually run into land. And here's some early navigators incorporating the compass roses. You can even see some red cross motifs in here too, which are very characteristic of the whole system of navigation connecting to the east. And you'll often hear fellow illuminated fraternity members talking about their fellow travelers. They travel to the east. They're sons of the widow, and they're following the eastern star, and so on and so forth. It's all the same thing. This is a compass whose highest degree is 33 1/3. This is called the compass rose, which is interesting because rose is a play on the word for the Hebrew name of the head, Rosh. Here you have the skull and bones. And actual name for Golgotha, which was Aramaic, in Hebrew, Galgaleth, is spelled this way. These two letters, if you would actually connect them together, equal 33. GL, GL, or Gimel Lamed, Gimel Lamed. And this is a Tav. So in the ancient Hebrew, the T was actually a cross. So symbolically, this is 33, 33, and a cross. So the name for a skull, place of the skull, Galgaleth, actually symbolizes the same thing as this. Because it's a head, it's a Rosh, just a play on words. And the classical education gave you Hebrew and Greek and Latin. I guess the higher up you go, you get more Hebrew. There's a rose in the cross, more blatant. And this is what it's all about. Golgotha in Jerusalem. Jesus was, if you actually would look into the grimoires of